So this is now the Town Challenge Cup. This is the Women's Coxless Fours Open event, and we've got furthest from us in the yellow boat, Molesey Boat Club here, and they are up against Rowing Canada A, the Canadians in the white boat and Molesey in the yellow. Off they go.
Yeah, it looks like Molesey went off really fast there, but this Canadian crew, I believe this is a Canadian development crew, and they're going to be very tough opponents. Molesey women's program so far have been very impressive. They've got a very impressive quad, which I believe we're seeing row later on. But you know, these I believe there's some international experience in that Molesey crew, and that's really telling at the minute. But
coming together a bit, aren't they, Angus? A little bit close to each other. I think the Canadians have moved to stay well clear of the booms, a little bit more into the middle. We saw Molesey racing Canadian B crew, so 2 crews in this event earlier in the week, and I thought the Molesey women, I've got to declare an interest as a Molesey club member myself, had a very mature row through that. But this is the Canadian A crew. They can expect them to be faster, so the Molesey women will know that they've got their work cut out, and they just need to hang on to them in this first phase. The Canadians will want to finish the race off very early if they can do.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. But just looking at that Canadian crew, they're rowing so long. Look at that lovely long stroke that they're rowing, just powering it through. You can see the stroke women just absolutely welling it through, and it's paying off in boat speed.
Yeah, that's Morgan Rosts in the stroke seat for the Canadian crew there, and she's really lifting her crew out to try to stretch out to length. As you said, lovely long stroke, and that early in the course, quite often the crews are sitting up a little bit short of getting more strokes in to get the boat moving, but the Canadians have already got into that long rhythm. And Molesey, as we said, you know, likely to expect a blistering pace from the Canadians. Have got to really pace themselves to stay in the race, but not spend too much too early, so they've got the chance to hold on and work their way through, which is what we saw them do through the week in the first couple of rounds of this event. So passing the barrier mark, we just look at that marker to get a sense, and it's just in touch. The Molesey women are just in touch with the Canadians on the left of the picture.
Yeah, I think it's important in the Molesey boat at the minute just not to let them get clear water, because that's when they start slipping out of your peripheral vision, and mentally that just becomes a lot harder to deal with. And conversely, if you're in that Canadian boat, you're going to be wanting to get that clear water as soon as possible, so you can get that psychological advantage.
So the Canadians only had 1 round to get through, just the luck of the draw. Molesey had 2, and Molesey, as I said, beat the Canadian B crew in the first round and then took on the Spanish yesterday. And yesterday, Rowing Canada had their first race against Leander and Oxford and took them down fairly clinically. So here we are looking at Molesey, who are now, well, they've got a gap of more than a little bit of clear water to the Canadians now. But I like the way the Molesey crew row. It is very efficient as well. So we can expect to see them respond all the way through the middle of the course.
Yeah, what I like about the Molesey crew is that they look very horizontal, and by that I mean that they're not wasting any energy by lifting their handle up too much and digging their blades in too much. And if you put more of the loom of the blade down in the water, that acts like a bit of a brake. They're moving well, but actually the Canadian crew are just moving that little bit sweeter, perhaps with a bit more energy and a bit more length.
Yeah, and you know, you've got the advantage there of Morgan Rosts in the stroke seat for Canada, who won the Remenham, the 8th event at stroke. So she really knows how to drive a crew and to pace a race. And sitting at stroke in a Coxless 4, you don't have a cock, so she'll be looking all the time at Molesey and just making sure she's paying attention to whether they are moving, whether she needs to push on a little bit, or whether she's got the race under control. And right now, I think the Canadians are looking quite controlled. Molesey just coming across a little bit in this swirly part of the middle of the race. So got to see whether Molesey are able to move now, because if they can, we've seen so many races in the last couple of days change hands at this point. So this really is the critical battleground of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Canadian crew looks very in control. I think they've perhaps dropped their rate, and what they'll be wanting to do now is keep really efficient, keep pressing out those long strokes, and keeping up as much boat speed as possible for as little energy as possible.
So both crews have got a lot of experience at under-23 level. Megan Slabbert at bow in that Molesey crew, for example, under-23 silver medalist and world champion at under-23 level, Lisa Goossens at 2 in the Molesey boat. But here we are with Canada, Piper Battersby at bow. Leah Tilt at 2, Shaya Depaya at 3, and Morgan Roos, as we said, sitting in the stroke seat. They look very composed, don't they, Angus?
Yeah, absolutely, and I think their coach Dane Lawson will be very, very impressed with this performance and very, very happy with the way they're rowing at the moment.
And Molesey having to row this race from behind pretty much all the way through there. You can just see a glance across from Lisa Goosens there in the 2 seat. She's probably the person making the calls here, telling the rest of the crew when to go, when to respond, and how to be rowing. Coached by Sam Tuck, who's built a really strong program at Molesey. Some great crews throughout the regatta, but it looks like the Canadian A crew with a bit more experience and that remnant victory under the belt are in command of the race still. Molesey have tried to attack in that 3rd quarter, but Canada A sitting here, sitting pretty, sitting proud on the top of the race.
Yeah, absolutely, and they'll be looking forward to the final tomorrow. I think it is a bit too far now for Molesey to come back into it, but they've had a great race and they can be proud of their own.
Beautiful shot there. You see the umpires launch populated by the coaches and supporters of the 2 crews. The umpire standing at the front of the launch and on the back, the timekeepers judging and watching and recording the race. One of the great things about Henley is the huge tradition you're part of if you're racing at this regatta. It's the world's favourite regatta. Everybody comes to race here at all levels, from junior through to international quality, and even this Olympic year, with the Olympics still coming, we have Olympians racing here on the road to Paris, but many of the sort of rising stars, the under-23 talents, the stars of tomorrow, those aiming for Los Angeles are here, and that's what we'd expect from women in both of these crews here. Here's Molesey, the final stages of the race for them. Things will be going pretty dark, painting the river black, but also their heads will be going a bit black as they really are spending everything they can do to come back, but Canada remain in command.
Yeah, definitely, and I think obviously it's going to be very painful for Molesey right now, but I hope they're enjoying the experience of rowing here at Henley, going through, as you can see, the stewards enclosure, absolutely packed now that the rain is gone, but also crowd really appreciating such a fantastic Canadian crew.
So if you're joining us from Canada, well, this is your moment to be joining and watching a really great display from the Canadian A crew in the Town Challenge Cup. They led from the start, as you called it, Angus. Really nice, long, strong, languid strokes. Brilliant way to row a Cox's 4. So they take a place in Sunday's final tomorrow. They'll be very happy to have done that so well, happy with their race plan. And credit to Molesey for doing everything they could, but they weren't able to stay with the pace of that incredible row from the Canadians.